Hello, everyone. Before starting, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Teachers' Day. We've heard many speakers talk about protecting children, students, and how teachers are obligated to report any and every incident brought to their knowledge. But what we do not hear is the rights of the teachers, their perspective, and most importantly, the harassment faced by them at the hands of many stakeholders. Today, at this interactive session, I'm joined by experts from various fields who are not afraid to speak their mind. We have with us a teacher, a counselor, a judge, a police officer, and an advocate. Let's hear what they have to say. Sanah, you are a teacher, you are also an advocate, and you're also involved in school management. I would really like to know what is your insight on the topic. Can you briefly introduce the same?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Gaurav, for such a nice introduction. I would like to start off by talking about the rights and responsibilities of teachers. And to all the teachers out there, firstly, a very happy Teachers' Day. And coming back to our topic, all of us must remember that before being a teacher or an educator, all teachers are first and foremost responsible and concerned citizens as well. So any rights and responsibilities or duties that are cast upon anyone else are also applicable to them. But whenever we speak in relation to our profession, if we have to talk specifically in relation to our profession, there are certain laws such as the Right to Education Act and also state-specific education laws. Like, for example, in Delhi, we have the Delhi School Education Act and rules. So when we have to make reference to rights and responsibilities, from a school perspective and from a school management perspective, these are the laws we look at. But yes, coming to our topic today, which we will shed light upon the POCSO, which is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, I want to just talk about this a little bit and make it very clear to all schools, management, teachers over here, that this is a very important piece of legislation for us as schools, for us as teachers to understand. It's mandatory for us to follow these laws and regulations. So I urge all managements and schools to take this seriously, begin their trainings, have full-on trainings for your teachers, and not just your teachers. We must remember we have to talk about our support staff, our admin staff. It's everybody within your school that must adhere to these laws. And the other one aspect that we should also shed light upon today is the relationship between a teacher and a student. Given COVID times and given that there is lack of physical interaction and everything is digital, everything is online, teachers sometimes may find themselves in unpleasant situations. And in these cases, I think for school management, it's a real teaching moment. And I believe, in my opinion, that the way to mitigate this is by educating our children about the do's and don'ts of being safe online. However, obviously, the remedies that are available under the law are available to these teachers. They can definitely approach the school management, approach the counselor, and then take it on. If the situation is more severe, then take it thereon. So I would just like to, begin with these topics and let's dive in.
Thank you, Sanah. Thank you for such a good introduction. Kratika, moving on to you, I really want to know what problems does as a counselor, do you face? What kind of awkward questions are thrown at you by parents, by students, or by school management?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, the part of this conversation. And the question, Mr. Gaurav, which you are asking is something which is now a part of life. Regularly, it is like why this particular child is only coming to you, why this particular child is only confiding in you, why the child is not sharing his or her problems with the class teacher or with the parents. If the problem is so sensitive, the issue is so sensitive, then only the child is only confiding you. Is it something very special which you are giving to the child? Which kind of support are you providing to the child that the child is only confiding in you? So my generally answer to these questions are: the child will confide in anyone, not just a matter of, as I'm a counselor, it is not necessary that the child will only confide in me. The child can confide in anyone who is going to accept the child as the child it is. If we will keep on asking child to do this, to do that, we will have to accept the child as the whole. Whatever the child is our child. If you're going to accept it like the child as it is, then the child is going to confide in you. So this is the very common question, the problem which I as a counselor generally face, that why only the child is confiding in you.
Thank you so much. Harjeet sir, moving on to you, can you briefly tell us about the penal laws that affect the students, teachers, school management, and how do we really tackle that from the school's perspective?
Right. Thank you, Gaurav. And first of all, a very happy Teachers' Day to this session has been curated only so that we can cater to the answers, questions of the teachers. And moving on to the question as to what are the laws that we have for teachers and the judicial system or the legal system of this country, what is it doing for protection of the teachers? Well, I should point out on the first place that there are tons and tons of laws which are categorically there to protect all citizens of this country, including our teachers. One of the most common problems which is faced specifically by the female teachers these days is that, say, for example, a child sends her an obscene message, something which is very commonly talked about, commonly faced these days. It is the time for all the online classes, video classes, VCs. In a course of a VC, somebody shares an objectionable content, or somebody raises an objectionable question, or passes an objectionable remark. Specifically, since the kids these days are so good with technology, who has put that comment or who has logged in with a fake name or a fake ID and has played an obscene video is something which is difficult to decipher. At the same time, even in the physical world, teachers often complain that somebody follows them to their home, or a male teacher can always say that there is always an apprehension that I got to know about something, probably a case of sexual harassment was reported to me. However, the parents are not very inclined to report that matter to the police. Now, all these things are the few questions, few dilemmas, are the few issues which a teacher would face in a day-to-day life. From IPC, the Indian Penal Code, which has got a series of sections, detailed law on what can be done to protect females, to the protection of children from sexual offences, POCSO Act, which is a special law. And of course, there is the entire guideline of the Delhi government, the Office of Directorate of Education, and so on. All these things taken up together, there is a bundle of laws which are there to protect the interest and the concerns of the teachers. Take, for example, when we talk about sharing objectionable content, or when we talk about somebody following you, in popular terms or in technical terms, I can call it stalking. So there is section 354D of IPC which categorically caters to that concern. And just to put across, or to show the worth of it, the law is so serious about it that a person who's found stalking is found guilty of stalking is given a punishment which cannot be lesser than 3 years, and if it happens on a subsequent occasion, the punishment cannot be lesser than 5 years. Now compare it to something like, let's say, theft. In a general condition or in a general assembly, we would always say that theft is a serious offense. The punishment for theft is up to 3 years. Whereas when you talk about stalking or a similar offenses, it can be as good as 5 years. So understand the kind of gravity the law is trying to attach to a situation like that. Similarly, a case of voyeurism, or similarly a case of an indecent remark or indecent touching. In all these situations, the punishment is on a graver side. Again, the idea is that the law wants to attach a lot of sanctity to these kind of things. And once again, the idea is to instill a lot of confidence that if something of that sort happens to me, being a teacher or being a citizen of this country, the law is there to protect me. I should also add upon, of course, we have Rajiv Kumar ji, who's SHO Madhu Vihar. He's going to be talking about it in further detail. But just to point it out at this stage itself, every police station has got women's cell as well. There are female staff. There is a female desk, a women desk at every police station. So again, the idea is that it is not that you are being treated just like just like that. So if you're a female teacher and have faced anything of that sort, of course the law is there to protect you with both hands.
Thank you so much, sir. Rajiv, we're very happy to have you here. I have a very, very basic question for you. Given the times that we live in, people are very afraid of the police. The image of police community in our country is taking hits from all sectors. I really want to ask you, why is that people are afraid of coming to the police station, especially the teachers or the school management, to report a crime? Why do you think that people are afraid of them? And what can you tell us to dispel that notion?
Thank you, Gaurav. First of all, I would like to convey all the teachers happy Teachers' Day. And coming on to your question, see, if you say about the police, because police has the very biased notion. Everybody, because people are making their notions or opinion that the police is like this and police is like this. They have been taught by someone others. If you ask from someone that have you ever met the police, they will say no. Have you ever gone to the police station? No. But if you ask how do you feel about the police, they will really say you that police is not a good, because they are listening from the childhood. Because if you start from the beginning, and everyone we are the child, that look, chup ho ja, nahi to police aa jayegi. So you start from there. You think from there. So people are when they grow with this notion that for every wrong deeds, police will come and police will do. So it creates certain notion in the mind. But nowadays it has totally different, because Gaurav, I can tell you that I am also not a born policeman, and nobody in my family before me, they are in the police. So I have these questions in my mind also when I did not join the police. But when I joined the police, I see a lot of changes in the police. And in these days, after 2011-12, you all know the Nirbhaya episode. And after that, law is also changing. That's why we are also talking about the POCSO. It has also come into force in the 2012. So after that, the society has also changed, and police is also changing very fast. And now you see that earlier police force was such a force that the educated person will not come in the constabulary. But if I can say you, in the last 4 or 5 years or 10 years, people are coming in the constabulary also. They are also 20-25% are post-graduate. Some of them are some professional courses also. So now it has been changing very fast. But coming on that topic, that after this act, there is a designated help desk. It is called a women help desk. So if someone he or she comes to the police station with the allegation or with the victim of the sexual offences, they will first report to the women help desk, and there the one lady officer of the police, they will listen his or her grievances, and after listening all the things, they report to me, and then I'll depute some sub-inspector rank of the lady officer, because in FOCSO there is a mandatory in the law that the statement will be only recorded by the women police officer, not below the rank of the sub-inspector. So and these sub-inspectors are newly recruited, and they are very educated, and they are very concerned with this thing like disabled. So they are very sensitive, and our training system is also like that. We are imparting starting separate training for this act and for this issue. So things are changing very fast. So I think I will tell through you that there is no question of doubt in mind. They can come to the police station and they'll feel very different. And if they come across with some policemen, they can go to the higher rank also. There are a lot of, if constable is not listening, you can report to the sub-inspector. If sub-inspector is not listening, you can report to the SHO. If SHO is not reported to ACP. There are levels of this.
Yes, sir.
And
of course,
somebody will certainly listen to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll come back to that. Harjeet sir, I have a question for you, but we'll first move on to Sanah. Sanah, you've heard the entire panel. You've heard what everyone has to say. I want to know from you, do you think that teachers, since you train the teachers also, do you think teachers understand the basic concepts of knowledge, abuse, and what actually, is involved in the law that we call POCSO?
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. This is a very sensitive topic. When you address teachers in a school, we all have to understand that they come with certain preconceived notions. Everyone has a little bit of knowledge. Everyone knows that there's a gray area they don't know about. So when I do training specifically, I like to start with the basic. I forget that I'm a lawyer or someone standing before them and training them. I just talk to them basically. What do you understand? How do you feel about the law? Everyone's very scared of understanding the law. Everyone's very scared of approaching the police. The minute you say, oh, you have to go to a police station, you have to report, they're taken aback. It's like, no, I don't want to do this. So I think whenever we conduct training, first and foremost, I think there should be a set manual, a set model, or a module that schools follow for training. What all should teachers know about? Can we simplify the law for them? Now that the law is so close to schools, we would really like teachers to feel confident and not afraid of understanding the law. So we conduct trainings. I think in-house trainings is very important, making your teachers feel safe, secure, and understanding. And yes, Gaurav, I agree with you. The basic concepts of law, such as what is knowledge, how to look at those indicators with children, looking at behavioral changes, behavioral patterns is very important. And I think the only way we can achieve that is by continuous training, and also training in a more systematic manner, in a more decisive and a systematic manner.
Thank you so much, Sanah. Harjeet, I have a question for you to what Rajiv sir said. He said that yes, people should not be afraid of the police. He said that the police is there to help, developments are going on. But you being in the position of a judge, do you really think that things have changed, or will that take time?
I'll start with a quick example here. Now, imagine a very small situation, something which happens day to day in our houses. I'm sure everybody has been yelled at by their respective moms for a fact that she got irritated because everybody was saying something or the other. At the same time, your dad was saying something, your younger brother was howling at her because he could not find his socks. You are getting late for your school tuition, something, and you want something to eat, and your dadi saying something else, and at the same time there is some phone call also. Yeah, does it happen? It does. Okay, it has happened with everybody. Is my mom very loving and caring? Yes, she is. Is she taking really, really good care of me? Yes, she does, to the best of her ability, even more. Now, I'm not trying to compare police to our mothers, but pretty much same is the situation. The problem with India is that we have too much of population and we have very less resources. So a police wala, the worthy SI or SHO or constable or head constable or ASI or anybody who's sitting in that police station, believe me, has the worst possible day than anything that we have ever imagined. A person who gets bombarded by too many complaints and everybody comes with a preconceived notion that this is the guy who's not going to do anything on my complaint. This is the guy who is going to, just toss me around like a football and nothing is going to happen. And also, at the same time, despite this fear, also the legitimate expectation out there is that he should ideally solve my case on the very first day. Agar maine kaha, he has done something, this person should be picked up from his house, this police wala, without thinking much, should immediately go to that person's house, arrest him, put him behind the bars. Now, it is because of this huge gap in expectations and the reality that we have this problem where we keep accusing police of not performing their duties properly. I should just say this. Of course, there is always a bad fish here and there. I would not say every police officer, every police wala, every police female officer is good. Of course, some of them are rude, some of them are at the same time lethargic. Some of them are also unprofessional. I would not deny that. Some. But attributing this to the entire police force would not be correct. And at the same time, I should also say that the good thing is that the system is changing. Right? The perceptions are changing. The police, be it any government system or be it any office, be it private or a government office, the systems are changing for better. Something that we had maybe 20, 30 years ago is not the case. And I can very proudly say that Delhi police is among the most refined police all across the country. There are too many things which are happening online. Right? There are too many things for which you can straight away raise a quick question. You can go to the court, you can check things online. The higher police officials, I should also add here, the higher police officials are very accessible, at least in Delhi. Right? Say, for example, an SHO is not listening to, this is something which I want all of you to please pay attention to. Listen to me carefully here. Say, for example, I go to a police station and somebody is not registering my complaint. The SHO is not listening to me. I can go to ACP, I can go to DCP. Right? If despite all this, people are not listening to me, on a plain sheet of paper, write your complaint and go to the court which has jurisdiction over your area. The court is going to listen to you. I'm telling you this not as a secretary DLSA. I'm not telling you this as an executive. I'm telling you as a judicial officer. Right? It is absolutely my duty. It is something for which I get paid for. This is what my salary comes for. That if a person gives me a complaint on a plain paper and discloses an offense where FIR ought to be registered, it is my duty, it is my obligation that I have to pass an order to be sent to the SHO that do register FIR in this case. And of course, the police is going to take action there. I think, Gaurav, I've answered your question. There was,
yes, sir. Thank you.
There was something on the bottom of a question that came from Ms. Lamba, I believe. I would like to answer that question also. Can we have it on the screen?
Yes. So we have a question.
I think the question was about a sexual harassment, but there is an added clause there. It is being from somebody who's superior to you.
Yes.
Mr. Srivastava,
if a male superior is sexually harassing me, who should I approach?
Right. Mr. Srivastava, I think it's a brilliant question. Thank you very much for putting that. Of course, sexual harassment is bad, but the gravity becomes much higher, much stronger if it comes from your superior. The law assumes that a person who's superior to you in any capacity whatsoever, be it your school principal or school administration or your boss, he is supposed to be your protector. He's supposed to be one who's going to take care of you against sexual harassment. I should also point out here that every school, every office, every organization is supposed to have a sexual harassment committee. What is that supposed to mean? That means, on the first place, before I go to police or before I go to any external agency, there should be a mechanism in the office, in the school, in the organization to protect me from any overtures, from any unwanted remark or activity or a statement or a harassment. And that is the reason I said the law would take it on a much graver scale if this is happening from your own superior. So answering your question, the first thing is that you should, if there is a matter of that nature, you should report the matter to the harassment committee of your school or your organization. The second step would be, please go to the nearest police station or the police station where this incident happened. If you have any doubts about it, we are all layman's. Let's assume we are all layman's for a minute. I may not always be sure as to what has happened with me exactly is going to qualify as a sexual harassment or not. At times, I want to have a second, opinion from somebody. I want to consult, or I want to confide in someone, or I want to talk about it to someone. Now, this is where DLSA comes into picture. DLSA stands for, of course, the District Legal Services Authority. This is a body which has been constituted to help everybody and anybody who needs any legal assistance, right? I'm sure not all of us have a cousin who's a lawyer. Not everybody has a phone number of somebody who is in the field of law, and we call up and discuss a matter. So in order to address situation like that, there is a 24/7 helpline. I would request all of you to please note down this number. It is 1516 1516 1516. So you call up this helpline and all the doubts that you have can always be answered. So wrapping upon this question, what do I do if I get sexually harassed? One, address the matter to the sexual harassment committee. Second is you can go to the police station. And just in case the police is not listening to you by any chance, ideally 90% cases it is not going to happen. Police also is accountable, and please trust me, post Nirbhaya episode, rather the police is really scared in not recording the matter, right? Somebody is going to make a complaint against the police officer who did not record the complaint. I'm sure SHO साहब will share his experiences. आजकल उल्टा हो गया है, पुलिस को इतना डर लगता है कि कोई आया हमारे पास, हमने उनकी कंप्लेंट रजिस्टर नहीं की तो मेरी नौकरी पे बात आ जाएगी. It is that grave a situation.
Sir.
And third is, in case police is not listening to you, then I said earlier also, on a plain paper, on a simple plain sheet, you can record your complaint and come to our the court and give your complaint to the magistrate sitting out there. And once again, the good news is that for that also you don't need to have a lawyer. A lawyer will be provided to you free of cost. You being a female, a lawyer will be provided to you free of cost by DLSA for making that complaint as well. So again, be rest assured that law is there to protect you and to help you out. Over to you, Gaurav.
Yes, sir. Kratika, I have an interesting question from you. These days, since schools are virtual, how is your role there to guide the children? Because, we've seen incidents where lewd comments are passed during online classes, and, there might be some kind of cyber stalking for children or for teachers. So how does your role play out during these times?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gaurav. Before answering your question, I would like to add two more important points, which I was listening to my fellow mates as Ms. Sanah and Mr. Harjeet. When Sanah ma'am has mentioned that we as a teachers, it is very important to observe the behavioral patterns which the children are showing. Through there, you can catch that with that what is that which is wrong with the child. Second thing, what Harjeet sir has mentioned, that when you are going or when you are approaching a committee for sexual harassment or any kind of offences, I would request all the teachers to always make complaints on writing basis, not on the oral basis. Like you walk in the committee and you say it, and you think that the problem will be solved because you are speaking orally. It is not. This is not always right, the correct way to approach. So I would request all the teachers. So if God forbid it happens with anyone, and if you're going to that particular committee, always make a complaint in writing, give it a copy to the person who's sitting there, and take a copy for yourself written as received from the person, so that it is for you also to understand that your complaint has been listened, your complaint has been registered. All right, now coming back to Gaurav, say your question. I would just like to share my experience with it, because the experience with everyone, I believe, is different. I was a few days back. I was taking class. So one of the student has entered with the fake name from the classmates only. Now the classmate is saying, "Ma'am, I am here. I am not writing all this shit, but I want to know who this person is, because my reputation is on stake. He's using my name. Now I am going to find out, and I am going to see how can the child do that." So in this point, such cases, the role of a counselor comes in. We need to tell to the child, "See, beta, even if the child is writing something wrong on the social media from your name, why are you interested in finding out that who that person is? And now I'm going to teach a lesson to that person, that how can you do that?" If the what I'm trying to tell you here is, being a counselor, we have to tell to the child, ignore, first thing. Second important thing is, in that matter, first and foremost important thing is, we have to sit with the children. When we are in the virtual class, we have to sit with the children with the cameras open. That is the very important point. We will always have to ask children, please sit with your cameras open. We can always ask them to mute yourself, but when they're sitting with their cameras open, the probability of doing all such things reduces a lot. Over to you, Gaurav, sir.
Thank you. Sanah, I would like to know that, we have heard all these talks where people talk about how is it the school's responsibility, the management is responsible, the teachers are responsible. But when it comes to the topic of sex education, then we have, parents running to school, harrowing the management as to why are you teaching my kids this? What is your take on that?
Thank you, Gaurav. Sex education has always been seen as a taboo. It's very difficult for school management and teachers to impart this form of education. Whenever schools have tried to do it, they've always got a lot of backlash from parents, and it's been a difficult journey. However, topics such as sex education, gender sensitization, good touch, bad touch are important conversations to be had. And these conversations must be age appropriate. We must not put everything in one straitjacket formula. That yes, this is the curriculum, this is the model, these are the kids, go and teach them. There are different age groups. We must respect the age appropriate information that has to be disseminated to children. This is the responsibility of the schools, of the management. And I would also just like to pick up a little bit on Harjeet's point about the committee that has to be formed under the POSH Act. I would like to tell all teachers and managements out there that as per guidelines and circulars of the Director of Education, it is mandatory for a school to have an internal complaints committee. I can maybe let you guys know there's a circular of 2018 and many circulars prior to that, post that provide the members who have to be in the committee, what are the rules and responsibilities of the committee, how can you approach the committee, how are you supposed to give your complaint, how will the committee conduct investigation, all those guidelines are there. And teachers must not be afraid to approach this committee. And just one last piece of information, sexual harassment is subjective. Yes, the Act defines it in terms of lewd remarks or colored remarks or inappropriate touch, but the High Court also has held that sexual harassment is subjective to the complainant. So it is upon the person who is being attacked to feel what she is feeling. And teachers must understand this and be empowered with this information. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanah. I have another follow-up question right there. Since we discussed about POSH and that sexual harassment is subjective, you being a part of school management, have you faced situations where teachers try and analyze whether this incident qualifies to be reported or not?
Yes. Great point, Gaurav. And this is something that I have been talking about a lot, especially with my teachers. I always tell them, if a child comes to you, whatever might be the complaint, might be small, might be big, it's not for you to judge or decide. You are a facilitator. As teachers today, and now we have the new education policy, teachers are facilitators. We're here to facilitate the learning process for the child. And I would really urge all teachers and educators out there, don't try and decide what the child is feeling. Don't try and judge the gravity of the situation. It is our responsibility as concerned and responsible citizens, then as educators, to report matters. So let us take upon this responsibility diligently and report a matter and not decide, oh, I know the child's parents, so it's all right. I don't think something like this could have happened. I don't think it's our place to venture into that area. We must respect the child's privacy and what the child is feeling.
Thank you. Rajiv, I have a small question for you since you've heard everyone today. People, Harjeet sir talked about how the police is short-handed, how there's a lack of resources. I just want to know, let's say a person comes and reports a crime to you. How many times does he really have to come again and again for investigation or interrogation purposes? Because this, again, is a constant fear in the minds of people.
See, as I have already told you, that in this case, if it comes under the POCSO, it is the right of the child if he or she wants to give his or her statement at his residence, police will report to his or her residence, and police will write the statement there. And after that, he or she will be brought to the for the medical examination to the hospital. So, and thereafter there is a procedure for the statement before the magistrate. So for that, he or she should have to go to the court before the magistrate for the recording statement under section 164 CRPC. So I don't think there is a need to come to the police station. If he or she doesn't want, there is no need to come to the police station. It is totally upon him. But sometimes what happens, Gaurav, people himself or herself told that police should not come to our house because the neighbors and other people will know what is happening. So they are, if they are comfortable to come to the police station, then only I can ask to come to the police station, and it is only for once for the recording of the statement only. And apart from this, Gaurav, because Ms. Lamba was also asking about the question of that sexual harassment committee. So it is this sexual harassment committee was constituted after the Supreme Court decision. It is called the Visakha guidelines. So anybody who wants to know about that, they can go to the net and search the Visakha guidelines. And it is categorically given how it is formed, who will be the member, how it will work. Everything is there. I think if somebody go there, they can. And apart from this, if someone have the doubt in the mind that if I will go to the police for reporting to the about the sexual harassment, police will not listen. Nowadays, after 2012, it is not going to happen because another law come into force, section 166A IPC. It says that if a police officer did not write the report against the sexual offences or crime against women offences, then that police officer will be liable for the prosecution under section 166A IPC. So I think law is very much there, and nowadays it is not happening. We are registering almost 100%. But what happening, which Harjeet sir also told, that people have the expectation, because people say, if I report, police will write down the FIR and police will hang him. Police will straightforward arrest him and send to the jail. So it is not happening. If you report, a FIR will be registered, investigation would be conducted, your statement before the magistrate would be recorded, and thereafter what will be the course of action, the law will take its own course, and it will happen.
Thank you, Rajiv. Kratika, I have a very interesting question for you. We've talked about what is being done, what the teachers are obligated, and everything. Since you're a teacher, what are the challenges faced by you while dealing when a complaint comes to you from a student of yours?
Again, I would like to mention the case which I have dealt in my career. Well, it started from when when I joined my services in initial years. One of my former principals told me that Kratika, what are you teaching to these children? Why are you teaching them good touch and bad touch? They don't need to know that. They are very small. They all belong from very good family. They all are from very affluent families. They are not going to face these bad touches ever in their life. This is for the people who are middle class, who live in the slums, or those who have no idea about it. So for me, everything, even if you are a nursery class teacher or a grade 12 teacher, it is very, very important to talk about good touch and bad touch about your children. It should be age appropriate. For example, if you're talking to a class nursery or a class KG child, it should be in the form of a story. And if you are talking to a class grade 11 or grade 12 child, it should be in the form of more of a open conversation. So now coming back to the point that why the child will come to me. as with the complaint is that because again because the child is being confided, because the child feel confident about it, that if I am going to share my problem with this particular person, it can be the teacher also. It is not important that the person can be a counselor. It can be a teacher also. That if I am going to go to this particular teacher, so I am safe over there. I will not be judged over there. The teacher is not going to say you must have done something. No, तभी उन्होंने ऐसा किया. Otherwise, the person will not do it. So again, the thing, what is the most important thing is that the understanding and the trust. If the child have a trust in you, the child is going to come to you, whether you are a counselor or you are a teacher.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Harjeet sir, a very interesting thing that fell from Kratika is that people usually believe that such crimes cannot happen in affluent families or good schools. People always blame the government schools or the slums or the lower strata of the society. Can you dispel the notion on this?
Sure. Well, I think it's the biggest possible myth, and not any. It is not well reasoned, or it has any gray matter into it. Children are children. It can be a child can be harassed, or a female can be harassed, or a crime can happen. A female or a child in any and every strata of society. It can be in the highest possible rank to the lowest stratas of the society. Well, I believe it is absolutely. I mean, believe me when I tell you, as a judicial officer and also as a secretary DLSA, I have seen victims, complainants. I have seen accused persons of every part of the society, every strata of the society, the most middle class families to the most lowest of the families. It is there. Again, I would agree with Kratika here that we keep talking about the problem. The problem is that this is how it is. This is how our society is. But then the solution to this is, and in this program, which is for teachers, I would say this is your biggest responsibility as a good citizen of this country and also as a teacher, is to talk to the children. When it comes to the physics and the chemistry and the maths and the sciences and everything else, of course, this is part of the syllabus. It is part of the curriculum. It is something that you're bound to tell and you're bound to teach. But equally important, or rather more important than any maths or English or physics, is the concept of safety of children, the concept of making them conscious. And I should not narrow myself down to this conversation of good touch and bad touch alone. This conversation is more about making them aware and making them conscious of everything which is happening around them. Say, for example, somebody like Kratika and Sanah would agree with me here that nowadays the biggest threat to a child is not which is happening on the streets, but which is happening in their rooms, on their laptops, on their cell phones. So as a teacher, the biggest responsibility that you have, as I said earlier also, is making them conscious of all these threats, be it cyberbullying or cyber attack or a financial fraud, which they can possibly, themselves also cause, or they themselves can be perpetrator to that. We have all heard stories where a child uses mother's or father's account and spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees on buying online products. Or say, for example, a small girl who was harassed, or a small child who was harassed by somebody unknown because the girl had the habit, or the boy had the habit of keeping the camera on. So I think this is the thing which is the most important duty for all my fellow brothers and sister teachers. Yeah, so I think this is...
Thank you, sir. Sanah, to what, just quickly catching on to what Harjeet sir said, he talked about that the threat to children is not on the streets, rather in their rooms, in their houses. Do you think there is now a need to start educating the parents as well? We always blame the teachers and school management, but let's understand this. Students or children spend about 6 or maximum 8 hours in the school, but the rest, the entire conditioning is at home. So do you think there's a need for educating the parents or involving the parents in the process?
Yes, definitely, Gaurav. And we have to see education from a very holistic perspective. All stakeholders have to play and have a role to play in the holistic development of the child. So a collaborative effort from parents, teachers, students, school management is very important. I remember when we started out with online education and digital education, schools have been flooded with many guidelines, whether they are the Pragyata guidelines or whether they are guidelines from CBSE, DOE, etc. And also in relation to that, I would like to tell the teachers, there are guidelines for cyber security. There are guidelines for cyber safety. It's all over. You can go onto the CBSE website. You can look at circulars of the Director of Education. And to pick up on your point, Gaurav, in those circulars and guidelines, there are do's and don'ts for parents as well. And I would urge school management and teachers, have PTMs online with your parents. Talk to your parents about what your children are facing, what are they going through. Just because we're online and we can't physically have our PTMs doesn't mean we can't do it online. And many schools are doing it. So a constant interaction between the parent, the child, and the teacher is very important. So if you go on to the MOE website, which is now the Ministry of Education, priorly known as MHRD, there is also Manodarpan. I would like to tell all teachers, please look at this initiative taken out by the Director of Education. It's an amazing initiative. There's a toll-free number that children can call. There are tips for parents to understand any behavioral changes. So there's a lot out there. I just think that people are not aware of it. People are not using it, implementing it. Teachers are also supposed to have a Google Doc now, which they share on their Google Classroom with their students, where students can put in whatever they're feeling, even good feelings. You know, it's not always, I'm scared of this, or they can just, oh, I had a good day today, I did this, you know. So just interaction, communication, and awareness. I think if we focus on that, a lot of it gets accomplished.
Thank you, Sanah. So basically what you're trying to say is that students, teachers, parents, they need to indulge in healthy interaction, positive thinking as well. You know, they need to share what they're feeling. You rightly said it should be positive as well. If we just keep talking about the laws and the crimes, then eventually it will lead to somewhere affecting the mental health also. From that, Kratika, I have a question for you. How far do you think the role of mental health care professionals is pertinent under the POCSO Act or otherwise in schools?
The role of a school counselor, I believe, is very, very important, because I was just reading, there was one of the questions that how can we modify the investigation procedure for in POCSO? Because what happens is that the parents and like Harjeet sir has also mentioned, that everyone has a fear of police. So out of the fear of police, they half of them don't report, half of them don't actually rely on the police, and they are not even very open with the police. So the role of a counselor is first the prevention is better than cure. So first, the role of a counselor is to make them aware about all these things which is happening in the world, which is happening in the society, the rules and regulations. What will happen if something is happening wrong with you? What can you do? Whom you can approach? Whom you should trust? Whom should you can go and tell that, see, this is something is happening wrong with me. If it is happening, if someone from the family is doing that with a child or with someone, so a person can always go to someone whom they trust. For example, a child is someone who always trusts their mother. So a child can go to a mother also. So the role of a counselor, I believe, in the POCSO Act is very, very important. As a counselor, when the term counselor, when it comes, everyone thinks ki, oh, the person is going to understand. The preconceived notion which we were talking about, that there is a preconceived notion with police that they are not going to help us. So again, there is a preconceived notion with counselors ki, oh, this person is going to help me. So when the person thinks that this person is going to help me, half of the problem gets solved. See, the person feels that I am heard, the person is going to help me out, so half of the problem is solved over there. So I believe it talks about the role of a counselor, teacher, police officer. Everyone role is equally important, and everyone plays a separate role which no one can replace.
Thank you, Kratika. Harjeet sir, can you quickly summarize the responsibilities that teachers have under the act that we call POCSO, so that we know what the law provides for them to be responsible for?
Right. Okay, so I would say that there is only one principal responsibility, which is that you have to report the matter. Okay, So let me be very clear on what is that supposed to mean. When I say you have to report the matter, what is that supposed to mean? And I'm going to also talk about certain myths associated with it. The first of all, the law says that if you acquire knowledge, all right, listen to me carefully here. If you acquire knowledge of a child being harassed, you're supposed to report. I'm not saying that you're supposed to probe into the matter. I'm not saying you're supposed to judge the matter. I'm not saying you are supposed to verify the information. A child has come to you, say for example, Kratika is a counselor here, a child reports a matter that, ma'am, I being a male child, it can be a male child also, it can be a female child also. I being a child, I was harassed, somebody has, let's say, touched me inappropriately or has, subjected me to another sexual harassment. And I'm the counselor here, I'm simply supposed to report the matter. I'm not supposed to say, okay, nahi, aisa nahi hua hoga, this is not possible. Or, I cannot trust you because you are a child with a dubious past. Or that you're very notorious, you don't ever get more than 50% marks, or you're just those 42% marks wala child. And, your past 20 complaints were also false, so this has to be a false complaint. No. Again, the line is simple. A matter has come to your knowledge, aapko pata chala hai, it has been put to you, you're simply supposed to report the matter. Right? I'll say second thing here as well. Often there are situations where a teacher, being a nice human being, reports the matter to the school principal or the school administration. The child's parents comes into picture and they are of the opinion that, we don't want to go to the police. We don't want to get into the hassle of reporting the matter. Or, we will be called to the court over and over again. The identity of a child will get revealed. Or he or she will be called to the court and will be subjected or will be put to all these unnecessary, objectionable questions. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you very, very honestly here, none of this is correct. One, the law is so clear on that the identity of the child is never revealed. It will never be in the newspapers. It will never be in media. In fact, if it ever happens that any media house or any newspaper or any channel ever reveals the identity of the child, the law says that media house, that news channel will also be prosecuted. The person responsible will be put behind the bars. There is provision for punishment also. There is a provision for fine as well. So again, identity is always kept safe. Second thing is, it is, as I said, it's often a problem which is faced by the teachers. हमने बता दिया principal को, principal ने आगे कुछ नहीं किया. So is there any liability upon me? Ideally speaking, no. You have done your part. But as a matter of abundant caution, I think what a teacher should do is she should make a complaint or make a information to the school principal or the management in a written form, right? So that you have some record. Maybe a WhatsApp message is going to be just fine. Email is going to be just fine. And still you believe that, the parents are not acting in the best interest of the child or they are not being wise about it. Simply make a 100-number call. Simply make a email to the police station, to the ACP or DCP. And once again, be rest assured your identity is going to be revealed. I'll add one more thing here. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little too much of time, but then this is very important for teachers to understand. It is often believed, it is often feared that, if I make a complaint or if I put this to the knowledge of the police that a child who's studying in my class was harassed, then I will be called to the court. या पुलिस क्या करेगी, मुझे विटनेस बना लेगी और मुझे बार-बार पुलिस स्टेशन जाना पड़ेगा या कोर्ट जाना पड़ेगा. Please understand, there is a difference between a complainant and informant. All right. So merely because you have informed the police does not mean you are a witness to that matter. You will not be called to the court or to the police stations. Once again, the law is there to help you, not to harass you. All right. So rest assured that nothing of this sort is happening. Simply answering again the question, what is my responsibility? My responsibility, I being a teacher, what is my responsibility? Report the matter. That's where your responsibility ends. All right.
Thank you, Harjeet sir. Sanah, I wanted to ask you that we've talked about students being harassed, children being harassed, but what about teachers being harassed at the hands of students? Students in the later years, 8th and 9th onwards, they're smart, they're kind of adults now, they're adulting. What are the incidents as a school management or as a teacher have you faced of cyber stalking or any other such crime or harassment, passing of lewd comments and remarks? We all know that happened in schools against the young teachers or the old ones also. What do you think the teachers can do there? What are their rights in those situations?
Yes, definitely. Given that everything is online and we're practicing and trying to practice safe online education, there are instances where teachers can face certain situations, whether they are lewd comments, remarks, pictures, etc. So I think for teachers, and they must understand that number one, you can definitely approach your school management. You should approach your school management. You can speak with the counselor. First would be talk to the children, educate the children about what is correct, what is right, what is wrong. If the kids are of a senior standards and senior classes, they definitely should be aware about the Information Technology Act. There are various sections about in that, like 67 of the IT Act, that talk about disparaging a person's reputation or image and putting things online. However, if the teacher does not get the relief that she wanted from within the school, which is the counselors and the management, the law is there for her. These remedies are there. Stalking is basically, you can have cyber stalking and you can have physical stalking. So the laws, the remedies that are there under the law are there for her, and she should definitely, if the situation is, if it requires for it and it warrants it, she should definitely approach the police, file a complaint, and take the matter forward. The teacher should never hide behind her fears. She is like, I think our base of this entire talk was that she has the same rights as any other person. And she is a caregiver for that child. And if it's a moment where she can use it to teach the child, definitely. Because children, children and teachers have a very special relationship and a very special bond that you can't, replace. So it can be a good teaching moment as well. So I think all remedies are available. Teachers take it, use it, and definitely, all remedies are there.
Thank you, Sanah. Kratika, I would like to ask you, can you give us a 5-point advice for parents and children? Like, what is your 5 cents on what parents and students should do, especially during these times, and educate the parents? How can parents educate the children about all that is going around?
Well, this is a very good and interesting question, Gaurav. I must say, I would only like to say to teachers, to parents, those or my fellow colleagues, that only be with your child, not 24/7, but be with. When I say be with your child, means that the child, whatever child is doing, the child should have faith that I should have to go and tell it to my parents, or you should have that much faith in your child, that whatever my child is doing, he's not going to do something wrong. And this basic education starts from where the child is born. It is something which we cannot teach a child in a day or two. It is not something which we can we will think, yeah, when my child will go to middle school, then I'll start teaching to my child. No. First thing. Second important thing is spend quality time with your children, because this is the time during this pandemic. Earlier we all were having very busy schedule, the child also and the parents also. Utilize this time to build a rapport. I will use a word rapport with your child, so that the child knows, yes, that my parents are there to understand me. I don't need anyone else other than my parents. Third important point for parents and for parents is do nothing with your children as well. Let them get bored as well. It is not important that you give whatever your child is asking. If your child is saying, Papa, I am getting bored, you will create huge things for them. कि अच्छा आपको ये नहीं, आप इसमें बोर हो रहे हो, आप ये कर लो, आप इसमें बोर हो रहे हो, ये कर लो. No, let the child be bored, because it is not always the life is not always going to give options to you. So we should also teach that to our children from very young age. Fourth, very important point, which I would actually request from every parent, is whether it is a girl child or whether it is a male child, we should always teach to our child that respect human being, respect a person, respect a life. Even if they are animals, even if they are human beings, respect them. Respect can be in numerous forms. That again depends how are you going to show the respect. And the last point, and the very important point, whatever the differences the parents might have, I would request parents not to show that to your child. That even if there is a difference between a mother and a father, the mother will not agree what father is saying or doing. Just do not show that to your child. Try to, even if you want to fight, this I say it very commonly to everyone. Even if you want to fight and your child is at home, go to washroom, both of you lock yourself and then fight, but don't fight in front of your child. There are
Thank you so much, Kratika. Harjeet, I have a very quick question from what you had said earlier, that if I report a crime, I'm an informant, I'm not a complainant. Are there any protections or facilities available in law if I have to eventually go to court and be a witness in a crime, in an incident, in an ongoing matter in the court?
Answer to that question, Gaurav, is yes. Right. This protection to a witness is into two parts. I can answer that question in two parts. One, witness being a child, the victim himself or herself. First of all, as I said earlier as well, it is often believed that in a case where a child is sexually harassed, he or she will have to face the trauma of going to the court over and over again, or he or she will be questioned over and over again. Please understand that is not the case. Every court complex, first of all, the law for dealing with such kind of matters is called POCSO, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences. It's a special law which has been designed to protect the rights of a child. Now, the first thing would be, if I'm a child, I should not be subjected to any unnecessary questions. So, and keeping that in mind, the defense counsel, something that we commonly see in movies. We have seen in movies like Damini, wo Amrish Puri sahab aate hain aur Rajiv se question पूछते हैं. It is never going to be like that. An advocate cannot directly ask a question. Forget about an objectionable question. Cannot directly ask a question to a child. The question will be routed from the advocate to the judge. The judge is going to ask the question to the child, and the answer will also follow the same way. The child is only going to answer the question which the judge has asked. And the judge is going to put that on record in his own words. All right, so there is no possibility of an objectionable question being asked to a child. That's the first thing. Then every court complex has this special room which is created for protecting the child. It's called vulnerable witness room. Right. This vulnerable witness room is a highly technically advanced room where there is a partition. The child will never be able to see the accused, the person against whom the case is pending, the trial is going on. Again, idea is that there is no trauma to that child. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो सामने accused है, वो जो bad uncle है या that relative who has probably harassed the child or has abused the child is standing right in front of the child. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं होगा. To make sure that this doesn't happen, there is this partition which is I can say it's a one-sided glass wherein the child cannot see the accused can see the child. Once again, the questions are flowing not from the accused but from the judge to the child. This room is highly child-friendly. The only person allowed in that room is the kith and kin. It can be a support person, somebody from some NGO, or it can be the mother or the father or the brother or the sister or probably a teacher of the child to give support to the child. And the child is made as comfortable as is possible. There are some toys if the child is very small. If it is not like a courtroom, it is more of a play area, something which resembles a playgroup classroom of any good school. So again, the idea is to make the child comfortable and not to harass the child again by bringing him or her to the court. I should also add on here, just to add on, just to impress upon, just to put weight upon what I'm trying to say here. Even to bring the child to the court, ऐसा नहीं है कि कोर्ट ने सम्मन कर दिया एक दिन आपको आना पड़ेगा इस डेट पे कोर्ट में and you have to give your testimony. No. A car and a support person goes from the court to the house of the child to bring the child to the court so that the child feels welcome about it. So that the child does not feel harassed in coming to the court also. So he or she is treated with the utmost dignity, and same is the case with all the teachers. Again, if a person reports the matter, we understand, he or she has done his duty, he or she has done her duty. So we would never, subject you to any, let's say, inconvenience because you have chosen to do your duty nicely, because you have chosen to protect the interest of your student. So again, as I said many times so far, the law is with you and not against you there.
Thank you, Harjeet sir. Sanah, can you give the teachers like a 3-point advice, or you can summarize how can teachers protect their interests with respect to POSH, POXO, 354, and all these crimes that are committed against them?
Yeah. Thank you, Gaurav. I think a lot of this Harjeet sir has also covered, that the law is for you and not against you. Teachers, the law is there to protect you and empower you, like it is for any other person. So use the remedies, and there is a 1-point obligation when you are faced with issues under POXO to report the matter. I do understand that sometimes teachers find it very difficult to pinpoint, is this a situation that I should report? So I would just like to tell teachers over here, a child will not come to you and say, ma'am, I have been sexually abused. No, a child doesn't understand what has happened to the child. So at that point of time, I would really urge our teachers, look at indicators, look at behavioral changes, look at marks. If you notice certain marks on a child, you don't have to jump to a conclusion that it's sexual in nature, but address it, report it. Don't just put a blind eye towards that child. So these are the ways in which teachers can also protect themselves, because they've done their duty of reporting the matter and also provided a safe environment to the child. Talking about POSH, every school management has to have a redressal and a grievance mechanism, which is known as the Internal Complaints Committee. There are duties cast on this committee. Please approach, like I said, sexual harassment is subjective. If you feel uncomfortable, your body, your privacy, you are uncomfortable. It's you. The law is protecting you. So use it. It's there for you. Don't be afraid. I understand teachers and courts, teachers and police have a little bit of difficult, teachers feel like, oh, I don't want to go to the police station, but they're here. I mean, this relationship we have to work on. One by one, we have to do it. So I think all of this is a students and empower our teachers. So yeah, I'd just like to end with that.
Thank you, Sanah. राजीव जी, आपके लिए एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है जो मैं काफी देर से पूछना चाह रहा हूँ. हमने अभी तक सुन लिया कि टीचर्स को एजुकेट करना जरूरी है, बच्चों को पढ़ाना जरूरी है, मैनेजमेंट को पता होना चाहिए, पेरेंट्स को पता होना चाहिए, बट अभी तक हम एक बात नहीं पूछ पाए हैं कि क्या पुलिस सेंसिटाइज्ड है इस चीज को लेके? क्या पुलिस ऑफिसर्स जो उसको इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं, जो हमारे पुराने सालों के पुलिस ऑफिसर्स हैं, उनकी एजुकेशन कैसी है, उनका आउटलुक कैसा है, वो क्या सोचते हैं इन चीजों के बारे में? क्या उससे कोई इफेक्ट आता है कि कैसे वो एक कंप्लेनेंट को या विटनेस को प्रोसीड करते हैं, या फिर क्या उससे कोई इफेक्ट आता है कि वो इस क्राइम के बारे में क्या सोचते हैं?
गौरव जी, जैसा कि आप सारी बातें कर रहे हैं, तो पुलिस के लिए भी टाइम टू टाइम जो है एक जो हमारा इंटरनल ट्रेनिंग होता है वो हर महीने ये लगातार चलता रहता है. हम लोग भी इस चीज पे जो है जो इश्यूज और टॉपिक होते हैं उस आधार पे डिफरेंट पोजीशन से डिफरेंट हमारा एक स्पेशलाइज्ड ट्रेनिंग सेंटर है राजेंद्र नगर में, वहाँ पे ये कंटिन्यूअस चलता रहता है. तो जैसे कि जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन पे हो, पॉक्सो एक्ट पे हो, सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट पे हो, तो उसमें हम डिफरेंट जो फैकल्टी होते हैं लाइक एनजीओ से, एडवोकेट्स और समाज के और दूसरे क्षेत्र से, तो वो लोग आते रहते हैं और जो सेंसिटाइजेशन का कार्यक्रम है वो कंटिन्यूअस चलता रहता है. इसके अलावा मैं कहूँगा जो सबसे जो हर वक्त ये बातें आती है पुलिस में रिपोर्ट की कि पुलिस में हम जाएं कि नहीं जाएं, तो पुलिस में अगर आप पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं जाना चाहते, अगर आपका रिजर्वेशन है, तो आपके पास कई मीन्स है. जैसे हरीश सर बताए थे 100 नंबर, अब वो 100 नंबर जो है 112 से इंटीग्रेट होने जा रहा है. कुछ दिनों के बाद देखिएगा कि 100 नंबर एबॉलिश हो जाएगा, 112 नंबर आ जाएगा, जो मतलब कि यूनिवर्सल होगा पूरे इंडिया के लिए। जो पुलिस होगा वो 112 पे होगा और आप वो रिपोर्ट 112 पे करते हैं। अभी दोनों साइमल्टेनियस चल रहा है, क्योंकि अभी लोग जो है 112 के बारे में ज्यादा नहीं जान पाए हैं, तो वो दोनों साथ साथ चल रहा है। इसके अलावा एक हमारा नंबर जो है वीमेन हेल्पलाइन का, वो है 1091। अगर आप चाहते हैं तो 1091 पे भी आप कॉल कर सकते हैं। 1091 पे जितने भी हमारे पुलिस अफसर हैं, दे आर ऑल आर द लेडीज, ठीक है। वो आप अगर घर चाहेंगे तो घर ही आपके को रिपोर्ट करेंगे, और वो आपकी बातें सुन करके, और जो इसका रिहर्सल होगा जिस एजेंसी के साथ होगा, वो कोऑर्डिनेट करके वो कराएंगे आपको। तो चीजें बहुत तेजी से मतलब बदल रही है। मैं ये नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि बिल्कुल बदल गया है, बिल्कुल ही ठीक हो गया है, जैसा कि आप लोग बताए, लेकिन मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि चीजें ड्रास्टिकली, रेडिकली बहुत जल्दी चेंज हो रहा है, और वो चेंज अभी लोगों तक वो पहुंच नहीं पा रहा, तो इस कारण से भी वो चीजें हैं। जैसे कि मैंने आपके माध्यम से ये नंबर बताया 1091 वुमेन हेल्पलाइन, मुझे पता है कुछ लोगों को पता होगा, कुछ लोगों को नहीं पता होगा, तो आप इसको यूज कर सकते हैं। और अगर आप चाहते हैं कि हम पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं आए, तो आपको कोई कंपेल नहीं करेगा, ऐसा कोई प्रावधान भी नहीं है कि आपको कंपेल करेगा पुलिस स्टेशन आए, क्योंकि जैसा कि सर बताए थे कि लॉ जो है फैसिलिटेटर ही है आपका। आप जो रिपोर्ट करना चाहते हैं उसमें हम आपको फैसिलिटेट करेंगे, और विथ योर कन्वीनियंस, बिकॉज जो कानून हमारा है वो विक्टिम फ्रेंडली कानून है। जो लॉ है वो विक्टिम फ्रेंडली है, तो इसमें विक्टिम की जो बातें हैं वो सारी सुनी जाती है। इसके अलावा क्या कहते हैं, हमारे हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक CAW सेल है, क्राइम अगेंस्ट वीमेन सेल है। इसके अलावा एक हमारा जो स्पेशल पुलिस यूनिट फॉर जुवेनाइल एंड वीमेन, वो है। तो ये तमाम चीजें हैं, आप कहीं भी आप रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। और आफ्टर दिस कोरोना पेंडेमिक आप देखते हैं कि हर चीज ऑनलाइन हो रहा है। हम लोग आज बात भी ऑनलाइन ही कर रहे हैं, शायद ये कोरोना नहीं होता तो हम लोग किसी ऑडिटोरियम में और कहीं और हम लोग बात कर रहे होते। लेकिन जिस हिसाब से चेंज हुआ, पुलिस भी उसी हिसाब से चेंज हो रही है, कोर्ट भी उसी हिसाब से चेंज हो रही है, और ये तमाम जो बनाई जा रही है वो विक्टिम फ्रेंडली है। तो आप इलेक्ट्रॉनिक के माध्यम से भी कर सकते हैं, ऑनलाइन रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, दिल्ली पुलिस की साइट पे जाएं, वहां आपको ऑनलाइन कंप्लेंट मिलेगा, आप ऑनलाइन भी रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। तो बहुत सारे मेथड्स हैं, आप कंप्लेंट कर सकते हैं। और मेरा अपना मानना है कि अब ऐसी कोई जरूरत नहीं है कि आपको कंपेल किया जाएगा पुलिस स्टेशन आए। अगर आप कंफर्टेबल पुलिस स्टेशन में हैं, आपसे पूछा जाएगा कि अगर, देखिए दो चीजें हैं, या तो आप पुलिस स्टेशन आएंगे या तो पुलिस आपके घर जाएगी, या कोई तीसरा जगह आप सजेस्ट करेंगे कि आप वहां आ जाए। कोई ना कोई एक तो होगा, क्योंकि जब तक हम मिलेंगे नहीं तब तक तो फिर आगे वो बढ़ नहीं पाएगा। तो ये सारा जो चीजें हैं वो विक्टिम फ्रेंडली है, और विक्टिम का जो डिजायर होगा, विक्टिम जो एक्सपेक्टेशन होगा, उसके अनुसार से कार्रवाई की जाएगी। जी जी,
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Kratika, I have a question for you. We've talked about sexual harassment of teachers, of students. What we don't really talk about is sexual harassment of male child or a male student. You know, usually they don't report, or the parents don't want to report, or the child will not want to report because of the harassment that he'll face after reporting if the word gets out in the class, or the humiliation. How do you handle such cases?
First of all, Gaurav, in such cases or in any of the cases, in schools, we try to keep it confidential. If the child is coming to a counselor and sharing something, that is going to be confidential. Generally, we don't even discuss those things with the teachers as well, that the child is coming with this or that particular problem, until unless it is very important for us to report the matter to the principal or to the management, like POXO or some suicidal tendencies cases. Only in those matter we go and report to those cases. So this thing rules out that if the other child gets to know about it, it is not going to happen in the school scenario, until unless the child himself goes and tell this to the friends. See, this has been happened with me. And I believe when we talk about POXO, every time in everyone's mind it only clicks that it happens with a girl child only. No, it is not like that. It happens, certainly it happens with the male child also. And I believe these days male child are facing more problem, and more cases has been happening with the male child, because this is something which is not even if it is happening with the child themselves is not going to understand that what is happening with me, because the male child is also has a view कि sexual harassment or sexual cases तो सिर्फ girls के साथ में होते हैं ना, मैं तो boy हूँ तो मेरे साथ में जो ये हो रहा है, this is not something sexual harassment. So it is we as a teachers, again the role of a teachers or a counselor comes in, that we need to teach this to every children, whether it is a girl or a boy. It can happen with anyone. It can happen with anyone. It is not limited to a girl child. It is not limited to only a male child. It can happen to anyone and at any age group. So I believe that the information, the way of disseminating information is very, very important. How are we teaching to our children? How are we telling them? It is again, one more very important point. It is not like that कि only boys are going to do something wrong. No, even girls can do that. Girls can do that with boys can do that with girls. So it is a vice versa thing. It is not limited to only one gender.
Thank you. Harjeet sir, I have a question from Rishwin. He says that I am a male. Why am I not protected under the POSH Act?
Okay. I would say you are, sir. Why not? The only problem is that you are not being sexually harassed as well. So I am yet to see a FIR where a male would come and say that I was raped by a female. That has not happened. And I would also have my doubts if it's physically possible as well. So with that background in mind, the law has not been developed vis-a-vis, I would say it is not till date so developed vis-a-vis males. It is the other way around. Of course, there are a child, if you say I'm less than 18 years of age, I should point out here, child means somebody who's less than 18 years of age. Vis-a-vis a child, it is gender neutral, a male or a female, because there have been instances where older female has harassed a child, a younger boy. But the other way around, since it's unlikely, hence that is the situation. I believe I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So before we close, Sanah, I have a last question for you. Can you also talk a little about quality of teachers or teacher training? And do you think that the new education policy really covers the aspect of sex education or sensitization of children and teachers against all that we've talked about today?
Yeah. So the new education policy, which is yet to be implemented, talks a lot about quality of teachers. It talks a lot about recruitment, about training of teachers. It's a very holistic document. Again, I would urge all teachers, school managements to read it and start whatever you can implement, start implementing it in your schools. When it comes to teacher education in relation to children and protection of children, there are few things that schools can do. Number one, have a child protection policy. We don't have a standard document as of now. I'm hoping we have one soon, that schools have a set of things that they have, like a model law or a model set of guidelines that schools should have. So a child protection policy, have the basics in that, circulate it to your teachers, make your teachers aware of it, have them acknowledge it and understand it. Maybe have a session, discuss all the points about it. Definitely, schools also have and should have complaint boxes. So where the teachers, sometimes teachers don't feel very confident in coming up and talking verbally, put it in the complaint box. It's supposed to be checked on a regular basis every day, or a suggestion box as well. CCTVs in schools, again, very important. And then trainings. And I've spoken about trainings. There's a lot of either you do in-house trainings or expert members come from outside. There isn't a set module. There isn't a set list of guidelines. And also, I train because I'm aware of the law. I have legal backing. I have legal knowledge. But I should also be trained. I'm a teacher now. I'm not an advocate anymore. I'm a teacher. So if I'm going to be training my teachers, I should also, counselors, the people who do the trainings should also undergo trainings themselves, maybe by the Director of Education. So trainings becomes very important, but I believe we need to be a little more systematic. and really help teachers understand what is knowledge, how to identify sexual abuse, etc. So overall, these are few things that schools can do, and teachers, please approach your management. They are there to protect you. They are there to help you. So please approach your management.
Thank you, Sanah. Thank you, everyone. I would like to thank the esteemed panel that we had today. A lot of information has been shared. I'm sure a lot of questions have been answered, and a lot of challenges have been brought forward as to where do we still lack? Because that is one of the most important questions, I believe, that we really need to ask our own selves. Because we cannot just keep on blaming the stakeholders. We really need to realize, as individuals, as citizens of this country, that we have a role to play in every field eventually. Harjeet sir, if you could close the talk, please.
Yes. Well, a lot of things have been said about the rights and responsibilities of the teacher, and I'm glad we were able to use this platform today and talk about it. I mean, it rarely happens that a teacher is made to feel empowered about something. I mean, more often than not, I can understand this. A lot of family members, including my wife, is a teacher. There are a lot of responsibilities always being put upon them, and there are hardly any question of rights to them. So if I wrap up, I'll say as it is, it feels you will always feel empowered in knowing something. So exactly is the case with law as well. There is a document called IPC, the Indian Penal Code, something which is we all probably commonly hear about. Section 354 onwards, if you read, there are just 4 sections in a very simple English. They are not very difficult to understand. So the first thing I'll say is just Google these section 354 IPC. Read the section, you will feel very empowered. Okay. So if I wrap up, I'll say that every situation, every unfortunate, any uncomfortable, and every overt situation is covered under some provision of law. All right. Be it a child creating a fake profile, something which commonly is a concern these days. I've heard a lot of teachers saying this, कि वो बच्चे ने मेरी fake profile बना ली है. So understand, there is a law to that respect also. The punishment can go as high as 7 years for that. Right. So you must understand that there is some provision of law which is there to cater to every situation. All right. Your responsibility, as I said earlier also, is protecting the child. And your biggest right is, your biggest power is the power of law itself. You can always report matters, including बहुत सारी चीजें ना हमें बहुत trivial लगती हैं. We always commonly believe that ये तो छोटा matter है, it is nothing which can be reported to the police. It is nothing where the court would do something about. Please believe me, if you are feeling uncomfortable about it, this is going to be the biggest takeaway from today. If you're feeling uncomfortable about anything, it can be from your teachers, it can be from your management, it can be from your male superiors, it can be from parents also. Including a situation where a parent comes to a teacher and says, मैं तुझे देख लूँगा kind of situation, तो मुझे बाहर मिल situation, and things like that. So in every case, there is a law to protect your interest, be it offline or be it online, be it somebody faking your profile, or be it somebody sending you an obscene email, or be it somebody following you home, or be it somebody sending messages on your private chat as well. There is a situation, there is a law to that effect. You just have to address, you just have to talk to the authorities, and there will be an answer, there will be a solution to your problem. I'll add one more thing before I wrap up. You see, people, this is a common notion that this is a common belief that we have in North India, at least I can proudly say this, that we try to look for a contact number who gives the answer to every situation. We need a doctor, we would not Google it, how to go to a hospital. We'll say, दोस्त बता अपना कोई जो doctor हो, मैं उससे पूछूंगा. Same is the case with a traffic challan, same is the case with everything. We would not find the solution, we'll find a jugaad. So I'll give you a single number which is kind of jugaad for all your law queries, is 1516. I told you earlier as well. You have a doubt, you have a question, you have a query, or you simply have, a confusion in your mind. Karu, nahi karu, kind of thing. 1516. Okay. 1516 is the helpline. Call up this helpline. It's 24/7, free of cost. Once again, the good news is your identity will be kept confidential. So on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I'm also going to say all of us are really indebted to you teachers. What I am today is because of the nice people who have taught me, because of the nice things I was told and I was trained well. So thank you very much. You are doing a wonderful job. India is a great country and will be a better country only because we have got a bunch of best possible teachers in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We also have another session in the evening on the new education policy. So please tune in for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.